Guys, we are back here with the Free Life Agents podcast. And today I do want to introduce a special guest on the show like we usually do. But today we have, in my opinion, an extra special guest because this is an agent that I work with on a personal level. She is on my team here at eXp Realty. And I'm really proud to say that I get to be her business partner here at eXp. But we're going to be talking a lot about what it looks like, to be a new agent and to, run a real estate business part-time as well. And why it's not as intimidating as, a lot of people think to get into the industry and be sharing, she's going to be sharing some simple strategies that you can actually get started with real estate and how to be, successful in your own right as well. But without further ado, I do want to introduce my guest today, Maijia Donovan. Maijia, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Kobe. You're so great. Thanks for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I do want to thank you actually for just for being a great business partner for showing up the way that you do with our team here and bring your energy. So yeah, so I mean, for those that don't know you very well, that might be listening to the show, would you mind just kind of telling us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into real estate and why you decided to be a real estate agent, even right now as you're working a full-time job as well.
Yeah, so when um I always wanted to run my own business. I just didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily, like I actually went to school for fashion design, so I actually wanted to, maybe develop a clothing line or maybe do costumes or, work for a firm that does fashion. But I don't know, I just realized that, the way the fashion industry is, it just wasn't for me kind of deal. And I didn't want to keep hustling, to try to sell people clothes and then I have to redesign it and, design by committee. And it just wasn't something that I, could get behind to do for my own business. So I really love design anyways. So I was thinking of a way like, okay, maybe I can start like a staging company or maybe I can do this or that. And my husband, he was like, why don't you just sell real estate? I'm like, okay, and then offer those services, So I'm like, all right, so let's start that, and at least we can do something, build up a retirement, and work that way, through investing, and maybe eventually we'll do flipping because my husband, he does a lot of stuff in construction, so he's really good about helping me, see my vision. So fast forward, so COVID happened, right? So the world went the crap, kind of deal. And I loved being able to work from home. I was still, I was working in as an account manager in a different industry completely, and I, just felt like I needed something. I really wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. So I thought, all right, well, just get my real estate license and then I'll just take it from there and just become my own entrepreneur in that sense. So that's, so that was in July or January 2021 is when I started that whole journey. And then I finally was licensed in July of 2021, about a year ago. So yeah, so it's been a crazy roller coaster since then.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And it sounds like, from what I'm hearing as well, it's just that, freedom is a very big kind of driving factor behind why, not just why you got into real estate, but like as you're saying as well, like why you wanted to, start your own business. And, always that's kind of been like a tick, right? That you always wanted to start your own business. And I mean, very, very on topic with, our podcast, which is the Free Life Agents, right? So we're here to help real estate professionals, real estate and agents, investors, get free, because that's what we want to do. We want to, like you just said, do what we want when we want to do it, right? And where we want to do it, right? Location
Right.
freedom is
And if you
right,
have kids, like being able to go to their functions, and to be able
right.
to not have to like, oh, I need to take time off and to go bring them to that appointment or this, go to that school function. It's like, well, it's my time. I can decide when I want to do it. And it's the sky's the limit basically. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like that is like why why business is so important, right? And why we all wanted to be our own entrepreneurs, like start our own business, is because, it's not necessarily, you want to be own the next Amazon or
Right.
whatever, big companies in your mind right now, but it's so that you can have the freedom to do like what you said, to be with your family and to, show up, in your life when you need to, right? So that's a totally different idea of like what people think about success, is that real success is that you're now able to show up not just from a monetary standpoint for the people that you care about, but
Right.
also from like a time standpoint, right? So you can be at your children's school functions and soccer games. You can be with your family whenever you want to.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah.
Have that not autonomy to do what you want to do, in the direction, so yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely like a really good reason for anybody who's thinking about starting to get into real estate to consider it, right? I mean, I think that's definitely a big step that you were taking when you first got your license, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it was also trying to figure out how to become a part-time real estate agent because, having a family and having bills and life and health insurance, like kind of need to have a full-time job to do those things. EXP is great because they have insurance as well, but, Massachusetts doesn't really allow us to have their
Right.
insurance. So unfortunately, for me, that was still a big thing, so having that being able to figure out, what to do, um, to be able to have both work, so that
Right.
was a big thing for me.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, because I think one of the topics that I think you're gonna be an expert on, or at least be able to share a lot of like your personal experience on, is like the decision that you made when you chose to become, or at least start in the industry part time, versus there's a lot of people who might be wondering, should I start as a full time agent and just quit my job right now, or should I keep my job and work on it when I have the time to do so. So like, if you won't mind, just kind of walking us through like that decision in your mind, and how you were able to make that decision for yourself.
Yeah, so I definitely decided, that I just couldn't quit my job. I didn't have reserves, and a lot of people are probably in the same boat where it's like they're also living paycheck to paycheck, and also doing these things. So it's like, how do I realize this dream, and make this happen? Um, and what steps do you need to do that? So for me to be able to, really time blocking is the biggest thing that I've had to do, and yes, it is working, so I have, my 9 to 5, like I usually do. Um, and then I, have to set time. So I'll work for a half hour in the morning, doing the biggest things I need to get done first, or the things that are most important to get, for lead generation and everything. And then I work, 2 or 3 hours in the evening, um, and then I work also on the weekends, obviously, because, several people want to work on want to see houses on the weekends, and just getting out there and seeing other people, so being part of the community. I also work, probably 5 to 10 hours on the weekends. So it is a lot of work at first, but if you keep your eye on the prize, and that, what is my end goal, my why, you can get through, you can do it, you can get your body through that. So
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, is that something that like was that like a mindset shift for you? Sorry, I can't talk. But was that like a mindset shift for you as well, when you were getting started, versus where you are now, where you have a little bit of experience working part time? Is that in the beginning, did you ever have like doubts about whether or not you can make this work, working weekends and then making the sacrifices that you need to make now, so that you can have what you really want, a year, 2, 3, maybe even 5 years down the line?
right, oh, for sure. And I would say probably daily, like it was like a daily battle, you know what I mean, like
Right.
of, all right, like I still got to make dinner, I got to do this and that, the next thing. So you just figure out a way to get all of the things done, whether that means, okay, well, guess what, kids, you guys are cleaning up, not me. Like, everyone's got to pitch in because, this is a family business. So, things like that, where it's like, or just being good about saying no, you know, like,
Hmm.
and that's something for me is really hard because I'm, you know, I like to help people and please, you know, I'm a people pleaser, you know, at the end of the day. So it's like, you know, thrive on that, you know, I mean, that's
Hmm.
in my job description, account manager. Yeah, so, you know, so that's something that's really hard for me to just say, no, this isn't what my goal is, you know, this isn't my why, or this isn't helping towards my why. So I just need to, you know, maybe not right now, or maybe later, or maybe it's just a plain no, you know. So I figured out um, ways to, you know, to get through that and, you know, how to combat that for sure, you know.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, is that it's not always about saying yes, right? So everybody thinks of, how to be successful, or how to kind of break out of that shell and get to the next level is, what opportunities do you have to jump on, or what opportunities that you have been fearful of taking, that you're gonna jump on it now and say yes this time. But sometimes I think a lot of people don't think about like what they need to say no to, right? And I think that's it's a lot, like it's a lot more important than people think, right? Saying
Right.
no, and then knowing when to say no, when you have, when you're in a place where you're transitioning, when you're building the life that you want to, building the business that you want to, because a lot of times we don't like to say no because we're very comfortable with what we already have, right? There's something to lose, right? We're more concerned about what we lose than what there is to gain. So we don't like to say no because this is the thing that we're very comfortable with. So kind of, is that something that you as well has, gone through, is just, breaking out of like the comfort zone that you were in the past, and then, now, being able to say no to things that you were saying yes in the past, has that, almost made you more motivated, giving you more energy to go out there and be more successful.
Yeah, definitely. And also just being able to say no to people in
Mhm.
general, you know, like and being okay with, you know, maybe disappointing someone, you know what I mean? Like just something that that's not in my character to do, you know. So just picking and choosing, like, okay, like I know this is gonna disappoint that, you know, so and so, but I'll make it up to them when we do this, you know, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, you know, so just finding a good balance, you know, of what, keeping your eye on what is important, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so important, right? It's just like where your focus is what grows, right? Whatever you're focusing on grows. So if you're focused on your why, your end goal, then that grows. But if you're focused on other things, then that's what grows. And subconsciously,
Right.
it's gonna take up all of the thoughts in your mind. But kind of like walking us through now, taking a little bit of a shift from, that mindset of, working part-time. And also I think, something I do want to mention is that, yeah, working part-time as an agent, what you've shown is that you can work part-time with full-time effort, right? Do you think that's something that,
Yeah,
um, right? Is that something that you,
exactly. Like I have two full-time jobs basically. Yeah.
right?
So yeah, for sure. And yes, the hours may be part-time, but it's for sure a full-time effort. Yeah.
Right. And then you definitely attribute that to your I guess to whatever, your success, and what you've been able to do as well, versus some people who might be in the industry but they quit 3 6 months down the line, maybe they're not putting in that effort, right? Have you seen that like in other people, or
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, why I'm able to keep going because it's like I don't focus on, okay, you know, I don't know anybody, you know what I mean? I'm brand
Mhm.
new agent. I'm still working my sphere, you know what I mean? But, and like, okay, I can just focus on what, the task I need to do to make my, to generate leads and to generate and grow my business. And that's how I'm able to, continue to keep going without losing sight, or to not despairing, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because there's no use in wasting your time thinking about the things you can't do, versus what you've done is you're just spending whatever mental energy that you have available thinking of the things that you could do, like what can you do now, versus other people, they built up all these limiting beliefs in their mind, and they're the worst enemies essentially. So that's definitely something. people should keep in mind, right? If they're getting into real estate, it doesn't matter what experience or lack of experience for that matter that you have or don't have. It's really, if you keep on focusing on what you can do, then the things that you can do will increase and multiply as you continue to do them.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, Dory said in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming, just keep going. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that that analogy of just keep swimming. So
Yeah, keep swimming. And eventually you'll get to the other side. So
definitely. And yeah, so I mean, just for the people listening to the podcast right now. So like, what does your current real estate business look like? So we know you're a part-time agent, you have a full-time job, and you're working full-time effort in your real estate business as well. But what does that business look like, right? Because I believe a real estate agent is it's just a part of it, but being an overall dynamic real estate business, there's a lot that goes into it. So kind of walk us through what your current your real estate business and your journey looks like.
right. Yeah. So like I said, being a part-time agent, you have to be strategic, you know what I mean? And what you want to do, you can't do it all, so you can't, or you may not be able to do it all. And you have to come to terms with that, okay, I can't be everyone's everything. So I got to pick what's the best thing, biggest bang for my buck, basically, and what can I do? So right now I'm focusing on obviously social media because we wouldn't be anywhere without it right now. You can't run a business without having it. So I pick the things that I'm on, which is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I'm working on growing those and growing, or providing value to my viewers, and to help them, just keep reminding them that I'm still a real estate agent, so that at the end of the day, when they're ready, I'm here, so. So I'm working on that, and then I'm also working on we call it the millionaire real estate Craigslist campaign. So we take basically any listings that are over $1 million, and we put them on Craigslist to generate leads for investors. So for me, that was something that was important to me, because it's like, I'm not going to be able to do the same volume as some people who are full-time. So I'm going to focus on, the higher dollar value properties, so that, I can start my, grow my business that way. And also being, wanting to be an investor, I want to start meeting and talking with other investors and, kind of learning how to talk and walk the walk kind of deal. So so that's one of my strategies that I'm working on there. And also working on, absentee mailers, so any if anyone doesn't know what that is, that's like, any properties that, has a different property, or an owner has a different property than the actual property, which means that they don't live in that property. So targeting those because they have an extra house to sell, so, whether they want to sell it, to cash out, or if they want to 1031 into something else, so I want to get into that also as part of my investment, learning the investment strategies, I guess. So, yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm working on, what else? Yeah. Oh, and education, like I always add in, so I spend about like 2 or 3 hours a day on education, actually. So, one of the things that I overcome, because, I work a W-2 job, I actually have to travel about an hour each way. So I actually watch videos or listen to videos, I should say. I don't watch them in the car, I listen to videos and I learn from them, so I get like dedicated 2 hours a day of training, so it's like, the more you know, the more you grow, the whole saying. So that's something that I implement, daily with my business plan. So and also agent traction, and helping grow EXP. I've also included that into my business plan, because I feel like that's something that fits in my schedule, and also is something that, I think every agent at EXP should implement into their business as well. So
Yeah. Wow. So that's a lot, right? That's a lot, right?
yeah. I know when you say it like that, it does sound like a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, even like, and this is completely off the cuff here. So like, even like as you're saying these things out loud, does it almost surprise you a little bit, like how much you're able
Yeah.
to do as a
Yeah,
part-time
exactly.
agent?
Well, because whenever you talk to your family members, you're like, they're like, oh, what are you doing in real estate? I'm like, well, like stuff, like, so it's like you can't explain it to them because they don't really quite know what you're doing, kind of deal. But yeah, when you say it to someone who also is in that business, it's like, it does sound like a lot, it just sounds like it's, like I see where my hours are going now. So
Yeah, definitely not to waste
yeah.
where your hours are going. So um, that's great. So a couple of different things that you touched on. So first of all, I do want to go back to that point you made about social media. You're focusing on it. So a lot of from what I've heard from just agents that I've talked to, people who want to get started in industry, people who have started in industry, they want to know, like, they've heard about social media. Obviously, they use it, but they don't really know, like, from their perspective, what they can provide in terms of value to the audience, right? To the people that is on their platform. They don't know how they can actually post content and what kind of content to post, because they always, I say, make the excuse, the alibi, but they say that, hey, I'm new and I don't really know what I can post. I can be of value to people. So could you just kind of walk us through a little bit on what kind of content you post and how you're coming up with like the content that you are, being from a part-time background, and then you were to real estate background as well.
Yeah, so I post a lot of helpful things for people that I'm trying to rein in, is, like ways that they could buy or sell their house, like
Mhm.
ways, the step by step and how to do these things. I post a lot of helpful tips, like organizing tips, or, how to be, how to stage your house, you know what I mean, and things like that. I post like in the market information, that's provided with other real estate, through our, realtor.com, the realtor
Mhm.
membership that we all,
Right.
join. Things that you can find, that a lot of people who aren't in the industry don't know about, you know what I mean, and would like to know, like, hey, what what's the average selling price last month, like what in this area, or what is the, did it sell for, more or less than what it was listed for, you know what I mean, like things like that, where if it's something that, if what would interest you, you know what I mean, like that's something that someone else would want to know. And I also post, like, things that are on MLS that might be interest somebody, you know what I mean, like to help, gain leads that way, you know what I mean. So um and that's at the end of the day, you're trying to generate leads, so anytime you can stay top of mind is the most important thing. And even if it's not real estate related, I send, motivational, quotes, you know what I mean? Like, any helpful tips, or just being, posting where you are these days, or going to other, community areas, like, I love going out for ice cream. So I'll post on there, that, love this place, recommendations, you know what I mean? And things like that. Or if there's someone that my favorite shop likes, posted something that I liked, I'll repost it for them. You know what I mean? So, um, so that's a way that I'm generating content, I guess, on my social media.
Yeah, that's great. And I feel like, if you're a newer agent, or if you're somebody who's, you don't know what to post, you're listening to this podcast, this interview, I'll be taking some notes right now. So, because, a lot of what Maya just said is very practical. They're not anything that you have to go out there and create. Um, and we can talk about this as well, with your experience with Canva and creating pieces as well. But it's not something that you have to go out there and generate from like, experience as an agent, right? It's, like what Maya just said, it's, stuff that resonates with her, that can, bring people to, exposure to a local audience, right? Like just going out for ice cream. So if that's something that you would like to do as well,
Right.
share, your top 5 ice cream shops in your neighborhood, right? Because that's people moving to and from your neighborhood might also like ice cream, and that's going to
Right.
be helpful for them. So
Exactly. Exactly. And just generating, interest in your community. You know what I mean? Like, like go to your local farmers market, or, a local pizza shop or something, or, your school's having an event, if you're allowed to post things, from that, you could do that, just showing, like why someone should buy, you know what I mean, in your area, your target neighborhood, that you're trying to market to. And just
right.
getting your face out there, the more people the better, the easier business is going to be.
Right, exactly. That's a great point. Sometimes you're posting stuff online and you don't even know who's seeing it, right? You don't like people are watching, they're noticing it. They might not say anything,
Right.
but they're just it's in their mind over and over and over and over again. And then once you show up in their feed for like 3 times a week, every week for a year, then real estate, like nobody's like real estate is a slow business. Like you don't,
Yeah.
it's not selling, you're not selling socks or vacuum cleaners. You're not gonna join the industry and sell something tomorrow. So you
Right.
need to build that facial recognition, that name recognition, the brand recognition over time, over and over again. And as long as you're staying consistent like you are, I think
Exactly.
it's very important as an agent to be able to do that.
Right.
um
Yeah, I would definitely say stick with a tactic for at least a
mhm,
year, like if
right.
not more, because that, that's the only way you're going to continue to keep retargeting and keep retargeting the same people, because that's how, your name's going to, they're going to remember you when they're ready to sell a house in 2 to 3 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, so that's important.
Yep. Yep, definitely important as well. And then onto the next point that you mentioned earlier as well, aside from social media, which is definitely something that you want to use to keep people, keep yourself top of mind with people. But you also mentioned what your main strategy now of working your retail real estate seller and buyer leads, which is $1 million listings, right, on Craigslist. And kind of for those new agents who might be intimidated by that idea, could you kind of give them a little a little bit about a little bit of your experience working those leads, and some of the success that you've been having very recently as well with potential buyers, and a potential deal on the line as well.
Yeah, sure. So when I first heard about this, I was kind of like, "Ah, there's no way. Like, I'm brand new. There's no
Right.
way I could sell $1 million house. No way. Like I know nothing." So I was like, but then when I realized, like it takes just as much effort to sell $1 million house than it does a $150,000 house, So it's like, okay, and you have way less headaches because they're willing to pay that, like they're prepared to pay that money. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you know what? I believe in myself. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is having the self-esteem to do it and just say, okay, I'm going to figure it out. And I have people and I have mentors and I have people in my upline that can help me, like figure this out at the end of the day, like we're all working together. Um, so that's how I was like, all right, just go for it, screw it, you know what I mean? Just do it and just see what happens, stick with it, like I said, for at least a year and see what happens. So I've been working on this one house. So I started, okay, small, somewhere in my, I started with $1 million house listings in my town. So I'm like, okay, I know this area really well. So at least I could offer value, to someone who is in the area, you know what I mean, or wants to know about the area because I live in it, So I started with a property that is being sold for over a million. It was actually, I think it was originally listed for like 1.6 million, and now it's down to to a little under to a little over $1 million. So it's come down a lot. And it's been on the when I started actually targeting this one, I think it had been on the market for over a year. So I'm like, okay, and I also saw the problem, like, housing is crazy right now. You know what I mean? Like they barely last like 2 weeks on the market. Let's look at the ones that are staying on the market for a lot longer. You know what I mean? And so that's why I was like, okay, this might actually be a good strategy, to find a buyer, you know what I mean, that for these properties that are not moving, like, and why aren't they moving, and figuring that out. So I did the research, I did look into it. I actually went and met the listing agent, who doesn't belong to my brokerage as well. So it was completely new. I walked through it. I learned as much as I could about this property. And so I just kept at it. And my husband was working for someone who just purchased another property down the road, and then actually was for a wedding venue. And they were very interested. They somehow, the conversation came up that oh yeah, my wife's trying to sell $1 million house down the road. And I was like, so he got her on the phone with me, which was another tactic that is really good, that your spirit, train your sphere of influence, how to like give you the leads, you know what I mean? So he actually got her on the phone with me, and we set up an appointment to see the house. So we're actually working on putting together an offer on the house. So hopefully things go well, and fingers crossed. But that's kind of, and I met the buyers, and the buyer are like totally normal. Yeah, they're not like what you imagine in Hollywood, you know what I mean, all hoity-toity. Like they're like everyday millionaires, like just like, just as what investors as well, you know what I mean. They're like 10 years down the road where I want to be, you know what I mean. So it's just getting out there and meeting these people, and learning what just learning what their needs are. And for them in that particular situation, their need was to find housing for people for these wedding venues. So being able to marry the two, was something that we were able to do, between me and my husband, so he was able to connect the dots as well for me. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love that that story that you just shared. And good luck, obviously, for that that deal that's pending on the kind of on the ropes right now. But
yeah,
that
exactly.
just goes
Knock
to
on
show.
wood. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that just goes to show, right? I mean, you can kind of talk about it on your own as well. And you did mention this, is like that, just that building that self-esteem of just going out there and taking the step to do it,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not.
Like what, if I fail, then I fail, and we'll fail forward. You know what I mean? You've learned a lesson, and there were some things I failed on, you know what I mean, for sure. And it's just like, just pick up your bootstraps and you keep going, so,
Right. Right, exactly. And it's, for new agents, right, it's just that overcoming that idea of, oh, I can't do it, where in reality, and just a perfect example, you can do it. Right,
exactly.
they're not, the clients that you work with are probably have less objections about you than you actually do about yourself, which is
Right.
crazy to think about. But
Right.
it's.
Yeah, exactly. And also just knowing that yes, you don't know all the answers, and that's okay. If you have the people and the support system that you have, then you can find these answers out. And like at the end of the day, like you just have to believe that it will get done.
Yeah, I love that. You might
Yeah,
not have all the answers, but you're gonna you're gonna go get the answers, right? So that's I think
exactly.
that's the. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
always the example of, the college professor who reads only one chapter ahead of their of their class.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly
um,
right.
but yeah, so it just goes to show, right, there's always some kind of value that you can offer somebody out there in this world. And the only person that's holding you back from doing that is your own mind and your own beliefs. So
Right.
that's That's awesome that you're able to do that, and good luck.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I'll let you know like how it goes, but yeah, no, fingers crossed for sure.
Right, definitely, definitely. And just kind of shifting topics a little bit. So that was a great, testimonial for a lot of newer part-time agents who might be scared to just go out there and take action and just to do something, right? Because I think that's the biggest holdback for a lot of people is just that they get in the industry, they build up limiting beliefs about themselves, and they don't do anything, and they quit 3 months later. That's the saddest story I've ever heard in my life. So, no offense, but it really is. But just the testimonial, like there are things that you can do, both on the non-intimidating side of just posting a little bit about yourself and your own interests, to the maybe for people in their minds, and maybe a little bit more intimidating of just going out there sharing advertising marketing to that luxury buyer, $1 million buyer, high-end buyer, kind of high-end real estate kind of market as well. But as long as you do something right, it's
Right,
just gonna you're gonna move forward, right? As you said, you either win or you fail forward.
right,
So yeah.
exactly.
So yeah, so I love that testimonial. But again, kind of shifting a little bit. Obviously you've run into some challenges as well. Just running your business. So what are would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you've ran into, being part time, being newer, and how were you able to overcome them? The way that you have.
Yeah. Well, definitely, time management is obviously the biggest thing that you have to kind of,
Mhm.
hurdle, as being a part-time agent, and figuring out and actually being good about, what is the most important things to do with those times, so that's one of the biggest challenges I have. And, like
Right.
I said, before that, I turned one of the biggest things that was a time crunch for me that was not, you know, not available to me. I've turned it into a time freedom for me, as, when I'm traveling to work, like to my W-2 job, that I am learning at the same time. So it's like I'm figuring out ways to get real estate in even when I can't, be available, or in a normal time, like I probably wouldn't have been available, so those are the things that I'm doing to overcome that. I also keep reminders. Because I am not good at remembering it. Contrary to popular belief, I actually don't have my shit together. So, but I'm very good at getting systems together. You know what I mean? So getting, whether it's setting reminders on my phone or setting reminders on my Google Calendar or tasks, making little tasks for myself and trying to figure out, okay, so I got to do X, Y, and Z for so and so. You know what I mean? Things like that, where it's like, you just have to be very good about keeping your stuff together, and that's kind of the ways I've had to overcome is figuring a system that works for me. And I feel like that's kind of how, a lot of the big agents, like how they work it, because they have developed these big systems, or developed these, not big, but they've developed a system, that will help them, grow their business. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think, I think what you said about the time management side, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't, they complain about not having enough time, but they're not doing what you're doing. They're not
Right.
they're listening to the radio. I mean, there's nothing wrong with music. I mean, people
Exactly.
like music,
Right.
but
It's good for decompression, but yeah, it's not helping you. I mean, it's helping you in other ways, and if that's what you're trying to do and dedicate that time, then definitely, there's time and place for everything. So yeah.
oh yeah, definitely. And it's just like, I mean, I always say, like, I don't judge anybody. Like, you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do, right? We're all put on this earth, with the freedom to choose what we want to do with our time, to choose how we spend our lives. But
Right.
I spend it a way that not a lot of people do. But everybody has the freedom to do whatever they want to. But if you do that, like, just know that everything that you've done, it has led up to whatever results that you're getting. So don't complain, right? Like, if you're not putting in the time, if you're not making the sacrifice, right? If you're not sacrificing the joy for listening to self-development, listening to training on the way to work, if you're, on a walk, if you're working out, or even what you're doing, spending
Right,
your free hours working on your business. If you're spending your free hours, watching Netflix,
right.
what there's nobody to to be responsible for that except for yourself. So
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, and also scheduling in, family time, because that's so important, or self love time, like
right.
self care time, is
Yeah.
one of the things that you have to be very good about. So I try to leave like Sundays, to be
Mhm.
family time and self development, like not like self care time, not self development. It's just,
Right.
doing things for myself. I go and I play like a pickup field hockey, league on
Yeah.
Sundays, and or I'll spend, Sunday afternoons with my family, we'll go to the movies or something, or we'll watch a movie, like, and
Yeah.
that's totally fine, and you need those times in order to do the other times better. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. And it sounds like from what you're saying as well, so you do a really good job of not only setting your own schedule, but following your own schedule. I mean, is that, am I correct in assuming that? And then do you, and if I am, do you think that is a big part of why you've been able to do what you've been able to do, even on a part-time basis as well, is that you set your schedule and then you follow it as well?
Yeah, it's well, okay. So I do try, like, and just like everyone else, like I really, best laid plans, you know what I mean? Like I really do. I would say probably like 80% of the time I follow my schedule. But life happens, shit
Right.
happens. Like it just does, and or things come up on the weekends and you're like, oh, I gotta go so and so's,
Mhm.
So but you have to be, so if that happens, that's fine. Just rework your schedule around that thing that happened, like you just have to be good about getting back on the rails,
Right.
and being kind with yourself to say,
Mhm.
okay, I didn't hit my goal today, but that's okay. We're gonna get back on it tomorrow. So
Right.
yeah, so I would say it's definitely a work in progress. It's not something that is comes naturally, like you have to be good, like it's something that you have to work. It's a muscle, like you have to work on your time management skills, and it's not always easy, but as long as you keep working on it, you will get there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love that you mentioned that analogy. Like if you keep working on it, then you get better at it, right? Just like everything else, through
Exactly.
use, it improves. So,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
but yeah, so that's awesome. So you're doing a lot of great things with managing time, and I think what you said about being on your account, being on schedule, being following your schedule 80% of the time. It's a lot better than right. It's a lot. A lot of people that should be a goal that they're aiming for, is to follow their schedules 80% of the time, because you're not doing it at all. You're doing it 8% of the time or even less. So I mean, 80% of the time, it's I think it's great. It's definitely in the top percentile, at least just from what I've known and seen and experienced myself even. But it does come down to, I think, and maybe you can talk a little bit more on this as well. It's just like priority, right? Like what are you putting as a priority? Is what you want now, or what do you want most?
Right. Right. Exactly. And and understanding that, lead generation, whether it's on the sales side or if it's agent attraction, like that is the one thing for your business that you should be working and focusing on, like because if you don't have that, then you don't have a business. So that's something that you have to, it's like one of those must do things, and you
Right.
have to figure out what those are, and what plan you have for those things, and not you just do those. If there's nothing else you get done today, this is what you do, then it's a good day.
Right. Yeah, the one thing, right? I think we talk
Exactly.
about it in our masterminds and our team calls a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That book is really great. And another one is Atomic Habits. We talked about that too, where it's like, you're trying to develop your future self, and if your self is a real estate agent and what that looks like, then you should be doing those tasks to do
Mhm.
that.
Right. Yeah, that's a great book. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely a great recommendation. So write that down, guys. Atomic Habits.
Yep.
Very, very practical. I think you can attest to that as well. But
Right.
mhm,
And that's kind of too, like, like small atomic habits lead to big results, So that's what I'm focusing on, are small little habits that will eventually pay off, with the big results. So
Yeah, and then the I guess the maybe it's a good, maybe it's bad, depending on what your viewpoint of it is. Like, if you do that for a long period of time, you're not even gonna notice the changes, right? And then you just look back 2-3 years in the past, and you're like, whoa, this is a big difference. I made a huge improvement over the last 2 years,
Right,
and
right,
so yeah. Yeah, so just like you were saying earlier, right? Just keep pushing, and then you never know, right? That the changes will come very gradually, and then you're not even going to notice the changes until one day you just wake up and you're this whole new person that you wanted to be always. And then you look back and you think, wow, I just, because of the small things that I did. Now
exactly.
that you're in this position,
Exactly. It's like, wow, if I just knew, I just, stuck with it for one more day or something, like
right?
then, like I would have been so much easier on myself and given myself less hard of time, you know what I mean, for not doing
Right.
producing results, like just be patient and it will come.
Yeah. And yeah, and that's great that you mentioned, just one, just following that for, what if you just followed it for one more day, right? What if you just did the right things for this one more hour, right?
Right.
And I think when people think about, like, if they really want to, like, if they really at a point where they really want to quit something, just maybe not quit for just one more day, right? Just
Right.
don't quit for tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens at the end of the day. So
Exactly. Just keep trying one more. You never know what happened. I mean, you know, you
right.
never know.
Yep, exactly. And just to kind of uh, shift again into the latter half, almost the like the third act of this interview here. I mean, currently, I did talk a little bit in the beginning about how you were one of our agents on our team here at EXP Realty. So I do want to get your testimonial a little bit, and you could be completely honest about it. It's just, why did you choose, as a brand new agent, and even, being part-time, to join up with EXP Realty, and more specifically, why with us and our specific team as well? And how do you think, just over the past kind of, your experience in real estate, how has that impacted your business, positively, negatively? How has that kind of made an effect in your business?
Yeah. So when I was, broker interviewing and when I first got my license, what really stuck out with me with the XP is obviously, the biggest thing, which is the cloud-based brokerage, and that you don't have any brick and mortar. So that means I don't have to go to an office. My training's done online, it's all either you go into the world or you watch the videos, on my own time, which was very key, especially being a new agent. I needed the training I needed, and I needed it at the times I needed it, which was after work, not
Mhm.
during, there are some brokerages that I was like interviewing with, and it's like, well, we do trainings on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. Great. Can't go to any of that, like,
Right.
nor am I taking time off for a training. So, it really worked for me and my family. So that's why, that's one of the biggest reasons why I joined.
Mhm.
Also, the splits was great. You know what I mean? Like you get to keep more of your money, like, which was obviously important to me as well. Although, I would have been okay with trading some money for more, for experience, but I really liked how, everyone was so, you know, everyone works together and collaborates, in EXP. So whether it's with people who are in your upline or people who aren't in your organization are still helpful. The mentorship program was great. Like I love my mentor, she's really great. And she still like tells me, even after your 3 deals, like we'll still like work together, you know what I mean? So she was really helpful, and it's just really great to have the camaraderie, and even though like we're cloud-based brokerage, like I feel like, I know you, you know what I mean? Like we meet every week, and I don't need to be in an office or, drive in my car to go to some, desk, you know what I mean? Like I do that already, I don't need another one of those, so, and that kind of aligned with my end goal, which is to have the autonomy to run my business the way I want to run it. And the XP allows me to do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that you said that, because I think a lot of part-time agents are in that position when they're, especially when they're first getting started. They don't, right, they're in the same position as you. They don't want to quit their job and to just completely dive into real estate, because again, it's a slow business, guys. So if you're listening to this and you think you're gonna come into the industry and then close your first deal on day one, like it happens, guys. But it is an anomaly. So it's not, it doesn't happen to everybody. So uh,
Exactly. Yeah,
it's a slower
and like,
business.
and no one can guarantee you that you will have business. You know what I mean? And it's really all what you can, the tools that you're given to produce what you need. Like, I was grappling with that whole idea, like, oh God, do I quit my full-time job and live on like the very little savings I have, or do I just keep trying to make it work? You know what I mean? So for me, it was a very scary proposition, to just quit my job and just go full time, and it's just, for me, that was why EXP worked for me, because it's like they're not making me quit my job, like, and yes, it might take me a little longer to be, an icon agent per se, you know what I mean? But I'm okay with that because I feel like my business is growing the way I want to grow it. So,
Right. Exactly. And it is like that, where you have to grow at a pace that you're comfortable with,
yeah,
especially in the beginning, because that is what leads to a lot of people not making it well, not just real estate, but like in any business, any industry. People just starting out their own business, right? Like they think that they can be successful at a certain rate, and they're not accounting for the liabilities that they currently have, right? So it does come down essentially to a personal decision whether or not you're able to jump into something that is completely self-reliant, and you have to build the foundation first before the rewards start coming in later, right? It's like farming, right? You farm in the you plant the seeds in the summer, and then you get it 3 6
exactly.
months later in the fall.
Exactly.
So that's what leads to a lot of people quitting, is that they don't understand that process, that you need to put in the work first for a period of time with no results, and then get results later on for that work that you put in. Usually it's actually more, you're going to see the results actually more than what you put in, which is the good thing about it. But that's that immense pressure in the beginning is what leads to a lot of people quitting businesses, going back to their jobs, going backwards in business, whatever it is. But I'm really glad that you said that EXP was able to help you navigate that in the beginning,
Yeah.
maximize your success, but also not put so much pressure on you as somebody who's not necessarily in that position to jump into running your own business, doing real estate full time.
Right, exactly. And if it came down to where I was like let go that day, I probably would have been, you know, I would have done what I had to do to get my business going. I
Right.
had confidence in that, but I just didn't want to have to put my family and myself through that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why I felt like this was the best decision for me and my family. That yeah, we could survive for sure. Like if
Mhm.
something happened and we were all laid off and there was no like unemployment or whatever, then you gotta do what you gotta do. Baby got new shoes. So so yeah, so that's why that's why it fit for me with my business. So
Right. Definitely, and I love that you said that, because you hear in the industry, or not just like real estate industry, but motivation, entrepreneurship space. People say you got to be tough, you got to overcome this and that in adversity. That's great. I agree with all of that, and adversity is a good thing to have, in not just as a business owner, but like as a human being as well. That's why you see all those kids of like rich people who are completely spoiled, and that's a whole different topic. But adversity is great, right? Adversity is, it builds character, it helps you improve yourself, especially if you treat it the right way, if you're responding to it correctly. But there's no reason to go out there and create more adversity than it is necessary. You do
exactly,
not have to create more adversity for yourself if it's not necessary to do so.
exactly,
But it's just, everything in life is a trade-off. But you definitely don't have to make it harder on yourself just to make it harder on yourself, right? There has to be something directly related to it that you see as worth it as the reward later on. But if there isn't, you don't have to there are ways to maximize your results while minimizing your losses. And that's what we should all be trying to do.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Right.
yeah. And just to cap things up here, I know, you mentioned a little bit about your business, and agent attraction and building your team out as well as part of that. So I do want to have, the opportunity for you to hear in this interview to kind of share with our agents how you're helping other agents out there in the marketplace, what you're doing right now to build your team, and how you're able to provide value, not just, from us as our team, as our company as a whole, but like from yourself as an individual, in the current experiences, accumulated experiences that you have. How are you able to help more agents be more successful, reach their goals, and why they should partner up with you as well?
Yeah. So um, I want to help people do essentially what I did as well, and just to break down that barrier that it's like, it's not that scary. There is actionable steps that you can do if this is the life that you want to lead, and if this is the goal that you want to do, is to be an agent, a real estate agent. Like, it's not, you don't have to put 8 months of expenses put away. You know what I mean? Like, you can do this, and you can do it while holding a W-2 job that is paying your benefits and paying for and keeping your income stable. So I want to help, reach as many people, not just agents, but anyone who's aspiring to become an agent, as well. That you can start as a part-time agent, and then you stay as a part-time agent or become a full-time agent, after you've done that. But I want to be able to show what I've done as well, and to teach them, how, the step by step of that. I also want, like, I love learning, like, I think I'm that, that lifelong learner, I guess people say, the cliche lifelong learner. Like, I feel like I love, learning, like I said, 2 hours a day of learning, you know what I mean? So that's a lot. So I have done a lot of training. So I feel like I can provide a lot of value to my agents with suggestions if they want to go, if they need training in such an area. Like, I've done, oh, I've seen a video of that, like, go watch this video. I recommend that one. You know what I mean? Like, and helping them, you know, directing them, I guess, you know, kind of being the account manager for the real estate agents, yeah, directing them in their goal of their business and helping them in meeting up with the people they need to meet with, to get their business going as well. And to help build the team, so we're all together, we're not alone, like, we are all here to help each other. And, it's not a scary thing if you know what to do, and I want to help people know what to do, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome that what you're trying to do, what you're doing here as well. And I love what you said about, you don't have to feel alone, right? And I think that's very important, that in this kind of like team environment, this collaborative environment, where now you're able to help people, not just like in the practical sense, providing the value that you're able to do, sharing them with, other agents that are in a similar position as yourself. Some of the things that have been working for you, some of the things that you've done successfully, and the things that you've learned as well. But also just be somebody that they can sound off on, right? So like, I think that's what, a lot of agents that are, that I've worked with as well, they just need somebody to talk to. They just need somebody to kind of ask and confirm. Like, sometimes they're just confirming things that they need, that they already, are aware of, essentially. So I think that's very important. Is just to have that voice, and to have that, really, that person to be able to listen to you, and to be able to kind of help you out, and settle your fears in the beginning as well. So
Yeah, and just being the support, like, just knowing, hey, we've got you, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
we might not have all the answers either, but we're going to get them, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to help you to get you what you need, and, you know, being just a big cheerleader, you know what I mean? Like, just being there for them and saying, like, we got this together. Don't worry, we'll get through this, so.
Right. Exactly. I love it. I love it. And for those agents that have listened to this podcast, this interview, and want to reach out to you, Maya, what are some ways that an agent that might be in a similar position as you want to know more about what you've done and want to connect with you? What are some ways that they can actually reach out to you or find you on the internet, on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. I have a realtor page, Maya Donovan Realtor. And I also have I'm on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Maya Donovan, spelt very differently, Maijia. So look for that. I'm also on Instagram at Maya Donovan. I also have a website, fulltimeformula.com. So we'll have that in the show notes. But yeah, that's just some ways. You can get in contact with me and, DM me anytime, any questions, or, I'm here to help. Even if you don't want to join my team, I wish, I hope you would, but, if you don't, I'm still here to help, and to guide you in any way I can. So.
Right. I love it.
And to teach. So this is a concept that I learned just actually from EXP, which I thought was great, is like this whole concept of, financial freedom, and the concept of generational wealth, which is something that I'm not, I didn't grow up with a wealthy family, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that I learned as a concept through this company, you know what I mean? That you can, the wealth that you're building now is something that you can pass and pass on to your children, you know what I mean? And to, to give them the tools they need to create their own wealth and to pass down to their kids, so it's something that really resonated with me, that, like, this is something that, I would love to be able to eventually teach kids, like who, such as yourself, didn't quite go on the college route, you know what I mean? And
right.
just, but wanted to do something for themselves, I want to teach kids that you can do this as well, like high school kids or anything, or anyone else who just didn't want to go through the college route. Then, okay, so invest in yourself rather than investing in a college degree, and that's probably going to serve you better, than, paying for a degree, basically. So that's something that's in the future, I think, like that's part of my why,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. And I'm going to stop myself before I go on another tangent about everything you just said about financial freedom and picking the route to invest in yourself instead of investing in a college degree. I'm going to catch myself and not try to go on a 2-hour tangent on that. That's another conversation.
That's another podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another episode.
Yeah, I have to clone myself and interview myself on that one. So.
Yeah, exactly. We'll reverse roles for that one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But that's awesome, Maya. And for people who are agents, people who want to be agents, want to do what Maya is currently doing right now, definitely reach out to her. Just open up her her doors to you for any guidance, anything at all. And then also on the website too. So she has a really good website, and just launched as well, but a lot of helpful information on there. You guys should definitely check it out. It is Full-Time Formula, and I'll put everything down in the show notes below so that you guys can reach out to her. But Maya, thanks again for being a guest on our Free Life Agents podcast here. It was really great having this interview, and yeah, any parting thoughts before I let the audience go here?
No, you're awesome, Kobe. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. This was fun, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you as well, and I love the energy that you bring with our team every single week as well. And here's to continued success in all aspects of your business and getting to your why and to your goals as well. But thanks again, guys, for tuning into the Free Life Agents podcast. If you guys like the show, make sure to give it a like. And leave a review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We can definitely use it. So leave a review. Let me know what you guys think. Even if it's a bad review, you got to let me know, guys. So I got to know so I can start changing things up. But, give it a like, give it a subscribe. If you do find this helpful, make sure to share it with people that you think could benefit from this interview and just this podcast in general. But other than that, guys, thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.